Murad, the composer and author of this poetry, is with us. Hello, Murad. Where are you?
Oh, I can see you. Amazing, Murad. That is your song.
Yes, hi everybody. Thank
Oh,
you.
So,
Thank
so
you
we
for playing it.
well, we the last two lines were cut out. Maybe you'd like to sing them to us.
I tell you what, Murad, if you send me a link, I will include that in my post session email to everybody.
Yes. Yes.
Because I also tried to Shazam it earlier and that didn't work. So you need to let us know where we can find it and support
Yeah.
you in
Yeah.
your art. Thank you so
Abs-
much.
No
Absolutely,
problem.
and
I will do
this
it.
is
Thanks for playing it. It's an honor for
oh,
me.
Murad. It's a fantastic. I don't think I've ever listened to a song so many times as this one.
Thank you.
Every line needs to be
Amazing.
listened to twice or three times. It's so brilliant.
Okay, everybody, welcome to the Ask Me Anything with Peter Koenig. I'm Nadjeschda Taranczewski. Most of you will have seen me around in some place or the other. I'm the founder of ConsciousU. We do scalable online coaching programs. One of them I co-wrote with Peter during COVID about money. And Peter is, of course, the source of the money work and also the source work to bodies of work that I have returned to over and over again. I was just sharing today with somebody on a call that I had my, sort of period of spiritual, I don't know, teenagehood at some point where I learned all of these other methodologies. I learned, a ton of stuff, but somehow I keep coming back, Peter, to the work that I learned from you years and years and years ago. So I humbly, eat my arrogance, and I'm very happy that you're with us here in this space. And as always, we have the opportunity, Peter, to ask you anything. But maybe you have some kind of a, state of the world message to everybody here online. It would be lovely to hear your voice before we get started.
Well, I don't think I've got any wisdom about truth at the moment, to tell you the truth. That's why this song is such a perfect song. And of course, since we met 6 weeks ago, so much has happened, and so much is still happening. That I'm sure we're all. It feels like we're going through a giant kind of reshuffling of all the cards that we think we have ever had in our, life deck at the moment, and particularly if we're in touch with the geopolitical situation, but also on other levels in our organizations, in our companies, in our personal lives. I think there is so much going on for each of us that it's hard to keep up with what's going on. And I think that's the major thing that's really happening for us all, how to navigate this particular moment or these particular times that we are all living with and going through at the moment. And I don't claim any better truth, I think, than anybody else, because I'm really looking myself at everything that's going on in this. I mean, it's an incredible moment that we're all living in, I think, right now.
Yeah, thank you, Peter. So, in a way, this is what I would propose we do. For anybody who's new to the Ask Me Anything, so always have a brief moment at the very beginning, sort of an 8-minute segment where you check in with one other person from this group, simply to have had your voice in the room, to have connected for a moment to how are you here today, and what are the questions that you came with. And the questions, as you will find out, can literally be anything. And we've had the most amazing conversations about things in this space. But of course, they can be connected to money, they can be connected to source, they can be connected to love and business, they can be connected to love and politics, whatever is present for you right now. So I would propose that I send you off into a breakout for 8 minutes. You'll be there with one or two other people, so it's not going to be a big group. Say hi. Don't get bogged down by what you do in the world and sort of, the normal chit chat, but really dive into what is alive within you right at this moment in time, at this moment in history. And what is alive in you in terms of these questions? How does money work or source work touch you? What questions are present for you? And 8 minutes after that, we're back here, and that's when we start drilling Peter. So enjoy. Okay, everybody, we're back. I hope you had a good, very short check-in with one or two other people. Okay, so here's how we play the Ask Me Anything game. I usually always just wait for a moment for hands to magically arise in the space. Sometimes people feel a bit shy in the beginning, and then it is my great honor to just call on people. For that, of course, I need your camera on, because if it's off, I'm assuming that you are off limits for a conversation with me, and then I leave you in peace. Yeah, so who has something on their mind connected to anything? Hi, Mark, can you unmute yourselves?
Yes, I'm very sorry. I need like 10 minutes to so I can activate my camera because it's like blocked, but it will be unlocked in some minutes.
Okay.
And thank you for the space. My question to you, Peter, is how does recruiting and onboarding change when I build my company up based on the source principles? What I see with like customers of mine is they're like the source of everything in their company because they create an idea, get a step, hire someone, and don't properly like hand over the source. And if you like, I guess you get the question.
Yes, thank you, Mark. And we've just been exchanging briefly. Thank you for coming in today.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you, Nadia.
Great. Yeah,
Nadjeschda.
So ideally, and I talk about an ideal, but this is the way it works with me, and I think with many of the people who have been following source principles, is that the whole notion of recruitment is changed. Because in a conventional sense, what you do to recruit is you look at your situation, you decide what is missing, and then you look for a person who will fill what is missing. Now, if you listen to what I've just described, you will see that the context from which you're coming here is already a context of lack, of something missing. And in fact, that is the basis for the whole of, you could say, economics in the sense that it is taught in university or business school. The first thing I learned twice, because I learned economics twice, from my economics professors, was that the economics is the distribution of scarce resources. In other words, from the start, everything is scarce, and you've got to, you don't have a notion of, let's call it universal abundance, which nature works with, but you have a notion of scarcity. So this is the notion which is actually applied also to recruitment. I need a finance manager or a technology manager or a communications manager, etc. And all of these are fairly standard kind of positions. Now there are more modern ones, but basically the idea of recruitment is still the same. Now, from a source perspective, it's completely different. Because what you do as a source is that you develop your vision until you're clear on your vision. Then you figure out what the next step is, and then you communicate your vision and your next step. Now, in fact, this is what every single entrepreneur does when they have a startup. They're not looking to recruit from the first moment that they start. They have this vision, and you have your vision, Mark, obviously, and you communicate your vision. Now, what happens there is that with the energy that you are putting in and putting out, you're likely to attract people that actually want to work with you. And the key here, and this is now the answer to your question, the key is that people are coming to you not because they really want to realize their vision, but because your vision. They want to realize their vision in your field. That's why they're really attracted to you. And when you understand that, then you don't try and put them in a box and say, well, you come in and be this and that and the other. You ask them what they want to do in your field. This is the new form of recruitment. What's the vision? Why are they there? And if they then tell you, well, this is my vision and what I'm doing, and that feels good for you, then you just say, yes, please come in and go ahead. So this is the source principles vision of recruitment, if you like. There's nothing, if you look at every startup, when things start up, there is never anything missing. No startup has ever started really with something missing. The things start missing when entrepreneurs start to listen to these consultants or financial experts who come in and say, aha, you know, you need this and you need that, and you don't have that, this, and you don't have that. And this idea of scarcity starts to creep in. So that's it's a bit of a long answer, Mark, and I was hoping your picture would come on in the meantime. You're not there yet. But anyway, how does that strike you? What's going on with you? Oh, there you are.
Now it's working.
Oh, perfect.
Beautiful timing. So thank you very much for this answer. I think it's a really beautiful approach. And I have a practical question, like especially when a company is growing, you have like usual marketplaces for like attracting talent. And if you go with this step, if you put out a Stellenanzeige, like a post to find customers, a client. What is the word for Stellenanzeige? A
job description, maybe.
Job description. Thank you very much. And then you would not say what you need. You would just put a Stellenanzeige, a job description out with stating your vision and what's on the table for the next step. And you let people react on that.
Yes, I mean, yeah, I mean, this is how you go about. I mean, why do you want to even put it something? Let me ask you, why would you want to put something in a Stellenanzeige?
So, because if I'm not, I need to be somewhere where people are who can hear my vision and who could potentially be my workforce. So I need to find them somewhere or show myself to them somewhere. And
so yes, so you need, you know, no entrepreneur is at some level without helpers. We call it originally in my source principles, we call them helpers. Mm-hmm. So the helpers are either people who come and help you do stuff or are your clients. So, but in the nature of things, when you have a strong vision and you're passionate about what you want to create, you go out and you start talking to people once you're ready. And, you know, I'm not don't get me wrong, I'm not being extreme. I mean, there may be cases where you need to do some kind of recruitment in a more traditional way. But as you're asking the question, what we do as sources, really naturally, we go out and we just express our vision to our friends, our family, to whoever happens to be around, because we're passionate about what we want to create out of nothing. Mm-hmm. And, you know, let me ask you the question, are you talking about your own experience as a source now, or you're looking at a client?
Looking at some clients, like in the size of like 20 to 100 employees.
Yeah.
I've seen these challenges come up. And so I was really eager to hear you.
Yes. So you see, you know, they're already underway in a fairly conventional sense. So they've moved beyond the original startup kind of passion. And the thing you need to watch out here, it's not about trying to find helpers. it's about making sure that the source is really in touch with their vision. Now, if you're consulting them or coaching them, you need to make sure that the source isn't being consulted somewhere where they're actually more in touch with doing the logistic stuff and the operations, and are no longer in touch with their vision. Because when they're no longer in touch with their vision, then they've lost their passion and they've lost their ability to attract. So this is the key aspect in Source, that you remain in touch with your enthusiasm, your vision, and you're kept alive by your vision. And this is what keeps people wanting to come and work for you. And there's magic in it, because when they want to come and work for you, they may want to do things that you never even imagined you wanted. I often give the example of somebody who has offices, and somebody wants to come in and just have flowers in offices, and asks the source, would you like to have beautiful flowers in your office? And they maybe never imagined they needed or wanted flowers, but why not after all? And then you have this wonderful person who's around doing flowers and energizing the space, or doing paintings, or who knows what. When you're a source, you can't really imagine who might want to be doing stuff in your field, but you're the person who needs to decide whether they should come in or not. And you're coming from the space right from the start. There's nothing missing. That's the real key.
Yeah.
You just, you start from that space and you continue in that space. Now it's challenging, and particularly if you've started a formal company, which you don't have to do, but if you started a formal company, you're already attracting some sort of old bureaucracy in which you're going to have to deal with at some point. So one of the things I always advise people who are starting up things, have a look whether you really need even to form a company to be really doing what you want to do. It may not be necessary.
I want to add a little perspective here, because Mark, a few weeks ago, I interviewed a Japanese friend of Peter and mine. So Peter's work and my work is really spreading in Japan. And so we have this regular series where I'm interviewing Japanese people about something that they do that for them is normal, and that is actually closer to the kind of life and future that Peter describes. And this particular interview was about the fact that in traditional Japanese companies, they never use role descriptions or job descriptions. And I was really baffled, right? Because the foundation of how we do business in the West are role and job descriptions. So we had this wonderful conversation about where I said, but what do you even apply to when you apply, what do you apply to? And he's like, well, obviously you apply to a company because you resonate with the vision and with their values. I was like, oh, okay. But then as the company, how do you hire? And he's like, well, then you obviously hire for a fit in culture and in values. I said, okay, but then how do you know what people should do? And he said, well, what we do is we have very long periods of essentially sort of internships in organizations where people move around the system and they look at, what is needed? Where are my talents needed? Where can I make the biggest contribution? And in return, he asked me a question that I thought was quite poignant, because he said, if you hire people for role and job descriptions, what happens if that role is not needed anymore? And I was like, well, that's an issue, right? Actually. So you have a point, right? So what we are after with the agile organization is in essence what they've been doing forever, right? And as we were having, you know, this sort of the first insight we actually had in Japan over dinner with somebody, and then my wife looked at me and she's like, oh, so the company you've been building is actually a Japanese company, because she's like, that's what I constantly hear you say to people. And case in point, I just want to put something in the chat. You don't have to read this now, but you can copy it if you want to. Because somebody who had been a helper in my system had asked what my expectation had been of their contribution. And I essentially said, this is not what we do here. Yeah, what we do here is you join because you're inspired by what we do, and then you look around and figure out what works and what could be better. And then you decide with the talents and the capacity that you have, what would be your contribution, because I don't know what the hell you should do. Like, I really don't have any idea. It unfolds, right? So I'm just saying that because this way of operating in other parts of the world is completely normal. And so maybe there's something about our mindset that we could rejig a little bit and go, well, what if we just throw that out of the window?
That's super interesting. If there's a space, I have some follow-up questions.
Go ahead.
With this, I think it's a beautiful mindset, but how do you prevent with the system only hiring people who are very alike, like you? Because it's like I'm looking, does this person vibe with the values and the vision? And I think there's some level of potential they're really just like me, and that's one of the reasons they align with the vision so much. Do you have any tips about how to prevent this?
I'd like to just, Nadia, I'm sure you got some ideas, but I'd like to say this is natural, Mark. It applies in every single organization, whether they follow source principles or not. If you get to read one of the source books, you'll see I make a point. There's a point we make there about if the source, you know, every source has, and every founder of even conventional companies has their, what I call pathologies. And what they will attract are people with the same pathologies and the contrary of those pathologies. So what you're describing is what will happen with us as well. And it's a completely natural phenomenon. So, you know, you may be talking about diversity and think, you know, you'd like to have diversity. Well, you will have diversity if the founder is somebody who's passionate about diversity. And then you'll also have the contrary, you'll find. People who love unity. And they'll both be present. So there's, you know, there's no way getting around this.
Mm-hmm.
And so in a way, I would say, you know, firstly, Natasha wrote in the chat that if you already have that as a question alive in you, that there is some consciousness in you that will help you to not create that, right? So because I would also say you up-level your vision in a way, right? So if you have a company in which you only employ Thomases, your vision wasn't big enough to include anybody who's not named Thomas. Mm-hmm. That's as simple as that, right? But if you want that, it has to be part of your vision and your values, and that will attract the right people. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mark, if that's okay, I would sort of move on, because we have one raised hand, and also Sandy, you didn't raise your hand, but you wrote in the chat very early that you had a question. So Mark, I'm going to unpin you here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mark.
Sandy, where are you? Say something.
Hi. I'm here.
Okay, wait. So now I can put you here.
Okay, Natasha, yes. I'll take my hand down because unfortunately I've got to go in 10 minutes. So I don't know if it's.
All right, hang on. Then I'll put you there. We'll have a little foursome here. Maybe we can let Chris go first, and then Sandy, we get to your question. Chris, shoot.
Thank you. I really appreciate this, and I'm really new to all of this. I found out about this Ask Peter Anything about a month ago, so I've been waiting patiently, and in the meantime reading everything I can about it, and I'm really impressed with your website, with the community space, by the way. Really well done, Nadja and Peter and whoever else is involved. I loved watching the videos from past talks. So my question, which I'm very eager to ask, and I hope it's not too obvious. But it's so it's an initiative I started within a network of 9,000 business leaders who so a very established 30-year-old. It's a charity, actually, an association. They behave like a business, though, which is about training really business leaders to become better directors, better leaders. And I saw an opportunity to do something new where I was kind of changing the model from consumers into active agents, and I particularly wanted to start something around the ecological transition. And I managed to set something up and did it voluntarily. Then I built it up and got more and more of these business leaders involved in it, pioneers, and it started really taking off. And the kind of central organization at first were a little bit wary of what was kind of this movement that was building. And then they kind of got involved, and then I slowly started getting a bit of pay for it. And then eventually it kind of grew from this kind of startup in a way into something that we wanted them to integrate into their structure, into the center. And my aim was, and I realize now I've done lots of things wrong because I was quite hidden about being a source. My method is very much like allow everyone to believe it's their idea, and I see the problems that I'm creating for myself now. But now that it's been taken into this bigger organization, it's really getting like after a year where it's been implementing it, putting it in place, and doing good stuff, and it's growing. Now they're kind of wanting to cut costs and wanting me to stop my contract. So it's a really difficult. I'm going through a lot of difficulty because I wanted to separate, the kind of security money side from the actual project, and now I have done that. I feel, and I just don't feel the project is ready to leave it. I don't feel it's going to achieve what I saw it could do. It's really frustrating. I can't really kind of convince them. So yeah, sorry, it's quite an urgent kind of issue that I'm right in the middle of. So I wondered if it's
Chris,
good for this space.
What is your question? If you could.
So my question is like in this situation where I've kind of gone into now, I'm unsure. Have I gone into their creative field? I guess so, because it's a big. I know it's not just about size, but I'm not sure whether I've gone into their creative field or whether it's my creative field or what, how the hell it's all going on. But I do feel. Yeah, and I don't feel like I necessarily want to hand it over to anyone. I'm kind of quite angry about the way they're dealing with it all. So yeah, I'm in this strange position, and I just wonder if you've got any advice for me, Peter.
So Chris, the first thing I would say is I note in your stories that you talk about they. So in the source work, we never talk about they, because my guess is that in this particular charity or organization, you have an individual who's been backing your project.
Well, it's a bit complicated because, as you know, with French organizations, so they've got a board of director and they've got a board of directors and a director, and the director's been actually
Let me stop you.
Okay, sorry.
Let me stop you. You know exactly who has been backing you.
Yes, you're right. It's not the director. Yeah. Yeah, okay. It's someone in the board of directors. Yeah.
Right. So, so what's missing right now, or what needs to be investigated, is that person's position.
Yeah.
In relation to the source of the whole, in the whole company or charity or whatever it is.
Yes, and I think that's a bit lost as well. I've been trying to explore that. I think they've lost their source a little bit along the way.
No, not they. He or she.
Okay. Well, yes. Okay.
Because your initiative is dependent. You're like that person's specific source or subsource, however you like to name it. And if that person is not well in their position, which is in some line with the global source of the whole entity.
Okay.
That's the weakness that you're feeling.
Yes. Okay, so they may be a specific source also, but they will have some link with the global source, which I think
there's a line of connection.
Okay.
And if that line of connection is starting to be undermined by the relationship to money, that's the problem.
Yeah. There's a lot of power dynamics going on. It's all exhausting.
This is not uncommon when austerity starts to creep in. You know, while there's money around and everybody's, you know, the value, we can go after the values, but when austerity starts to creep in, then you get the truth about the bottom line.
Yeah.
And, you know, to make it brief, the key is to look at the terms of your relationship with your specific source and make some decision at some point where you want to go with your initiative, whether it stays in or it does not. But don't look at more. It's not worth looking at more than that particular relationship, because none of the other people around that you may be thinking of have any influence on this. It's one person. That maybe is the key information here. It's one person.
Yeah, thanks very much, Peter. Yeah, lots of questions remaining, but it does help a lot. Thank you.
Amazing.
Okay.
And Chris, of course, in the Conscious Tribes community, you can also ask more questions, like, you know, stay engaged. Don't be a stranger. Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much. I'm going to unpin you. Sandy, what's your question?
Hi guys, so excited to be here. I kind of also stumbled on you guys like Chris about a month ago and eating up everything I can from your work, both of you. And I read Tom Nixon's book and I watched a bunch of videos. So anyways, fascinating. Very excited about participating or learning.
Put your mic at the
sorry, yeah, so super excited about just meeting you both. And grateful for the work that you do. It's been very powerful for me already, so quickly. So eager to learn more. So last night I had an idea of a question that I would like to ask Peter, because I knew I would attend today. I watched a very powerful video you did on money work with somebody, and I don't pretend to understand it all, but I had a bit of an idea about how we might project things on money, the way you operate to, I guess, kind of reclaim the two polarities in the person so that they stop projecting on money. Or I'm sure I didn't capture it fully, but I definitely had a sense of it. So my question to you was, if a person, perhaps yourself, has, you know, reclaimed themselves fully in all the forms that we might project, whether on money, on everything else in the world, I suppose, not just money, then, you know, what would your feeling be about money now? And is that feeling the same about everything? So that's what came to mind.
I missed a particular word there because you've got an echo going.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I didn't know I would be here at this time, but so my question was, if you have stopped projecting anything on money or reclaimed everything, what would your feeling now be about money? And is that feeling the same as you have on everything? Like, is there even a difference between your feeling on money and your feeling on everything in the world?
So the answer, brief answer. I wanted to go to the second question first and say, well, yes, I mean, what you feel about money, you can feel about a person or about anything. But what money reveals, the relationship to money reveals, is what I sometimes call the deepest part of your shadow. The deepest hidden parts of you tend to be locked up in money or hidden in money. So, but they may be showing up in other aspects of life as well. So that's the second part of the question. Now, the process of what I call the money work is reclaiming aspects of your money, of the relationship to money, which have been projected exteriorly, and you have disassociated from your identity. And when we do this, we reclaim one of these aspects after the other. And it's not like, you know, you're going to reclaim all of them in 5 minutes, unless you're a very unusual person that I haven't met yet. Because all of us you know, when I mentioned the word pathology before, that's really what I'm talking about. You're reclaiming one aspect in a process which can go for a lifetime. I would never claim that I have reclaimed everything, although some people see me as enlightened, and I may be enlightened. I find when I go to do my body work with a bodywork practitioner, she always finds places in me that continue to be worked on. So, you know, it's a continuing process. But let's say theoretically that you reclaim everything, you become enlightened. Then do you need money? That's kind of your question. Or does money have any place in the world?
Not so much does it have a place, just what would you feel about it?
Well, what
Or
you
maybe-
feel, okay, so.
Or what do you feel about it? Perhaps maybe that.
Okay, so but there is a video out there where I say I love money, which is true. But it's a different kind of love than running after it. It's like love, like I might love you. It's like just, or I might love a vegetable, or I might love a, you know, a fruit or something like. It's like a treating it as something like which is sacred, and then seeing the difference of use is not to not use your facility to project onto this medium, whatever it is. The key aspect difference is to do it consciously for the purpose that you want to use the money for. Because what we're doing in the money work is identifying the projections which are unconscious, where the relationship to money, instead of being a facility for you, is inverted and money starts to drive you. So what we do with money when we reclaim it is that the part of you that was being driven is now conscious, and that part you can use to use money in a way which will serve you in your life and whatever you want to be doing with your purpose or your calling. So that's how I would answer that first part of your question.
I love that. And I think I imagined something like that when I thought of you as you were describing. I guess it's something like you would love money for what it truly is. And that's hard to get to. It's just like you love a vegetable for what it just truly is, purely is. And
yeah,
that's
and who you really are.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Lovely. Thank you so much.
Okay, maybe Nadja's got something to add. She usually has good stuff to add.
No, I mean, I think you actually answered this very nicely. I do think there is a degree of playfulness that comes in. Maybe that's a quality to add, right? So that's something that I love in Peter very much, is there's a lot more playfulness. And it doesn't mean not to take anything seriously anymore, but to hold everything lightly. And maybe that's what happens when you do your work. Thank you, Sandy. Okay, I will remove you, and Tobias, you are up.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, my background of my questions, I have actually two, is to have the reclamation process a bit categorized. Agnes said to me I should talk to Peter or Nadja about this. So in the NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, there's the Robert Dilts model of the neurological levels. They describe the factors of human experience or approaches to coaching or to make personal development. I'm not sure if you're familiar with this. So environment shapes us, then we can work on the behavioral level. Then we can change some strategies or learn new skills. Then there are the beliefs, then the identity and belonging and spirituality as highest resource. And as a first step, I try to classify the reclamation work you do in this model. And when I watched Nadja coaching this reclamation work, I thought, well, we work there with strong beliefs, mostly at the identity level. Would you agree with that?
I don't tend to talk about put beliefs in the same category as identity. So I recall something that NLP differentiates more levels than I do. But I have 3 levels basically, which I can describe very quickly. The top, what I call the top level, is the level of circumstances, where something is happening in life and we try to change the circumstances. But those circumstances are built on the level I call the next level, which are beliefs, attitudes, behaviors, etc. That level I put beliefs in that level, and I put identity beneath that. So in other words, my definition of identity is the person that you see that you are. And the person that you see that you are has beliefs, has attitudes, has behaviors, etc. But I put identity at the, let's say, the bottom line. And when we do the money work and the reclamation work, we are dealing directly at the identity level. And when we do that, it's possible that somebody may change their beliefs. Put in another way, they may even change their beliefs in terms of a religion, because, you know, when beliefs get set, they become like a religion. So I always say, actually, when you reclaim an aspect of identity to yourself, you may even want to change your religion in terms of your beliefs. Does this make sense?
Yeah. So you're putting like the spiritual level, the belonging, and the identity just one at the bottom.
Yes,
right?
You know, I don't even need. I found it's not necessary even to mention spirituality or spiritual, but people come back and say, you know, after they've done the reclamation work, they often come back and say, this is the most spiritual work I've ever done in my life.
Interesting, yeah.
Because actually that's the level that we're really touching. We're touching the level of soul, if you like, when we touch on who we see that we are. You know, it's the question comes down to who are you in terms of soul, in terms of spirit, etc. But we try to, you know, we're trying to keep the work as secular as possible, and not get into different religions and so forth. And it's, I think, just dealing with leaving it at identity, we're really into this straight into it, without having to mention spirituality or anything else.
Okay, so let's come to my second question. Thank you very much already.
Okay.
I'm working a lot with structure constellation, and there are some interesting differences in this, let's call it formats, reclamation and constellations. In the reclaiming process, we try to reclaim one owns parts that have been projected. And in the constellation work, we do working with projections too. And there we try to letting go of foreign energies or burdens that don't belong to me. There are these return rituals. And yeah, I was very interested. What do you think about this? This seems like the opposite. If I say, "Oh, I try to reintegrate," or if I say, "No, that's not part of me. That belongs to my father," for example, I give it back to him.
It's a great question, Tobias. I attended and studied Bert Hellinger and his work with family constellations, of course, to look at exactly what he was doing and how he was doing it. And my explanation to you is that you can go in either direction. In other words, what we do with the reclamation work, we say, this is me, and 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 this is me. But you could also say, this is not me, 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 this is not me. And if you did that, you come to the same point. And the difference, if you like, between the two ways is the difference between yoga and tantra. So the yogic path, I would suggest, is saying, this is not me, this is not me, this is not me, this is not me, I'm just an empty nothing. And the tantric path is saying, this is me, I'm this is me, I'm everything. And then you come to everything and nothing. And that's the same point.
Interesting thoughts. Interesting thoughts, yeah.
Which the mind can't understand, and you just have to let go of your mind, and then you're there.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think about that maybe this different understanding, or the broader understanding of identity. In your case, like almost everything, identity is me. And as I said before, to differentiate between me and my family system, for example, that's some kind of where I think these giving back return rituals are coming from, and that's their identity is smaller somehow than your understanding. So that's what I'm
so
right now.
You know, my approach has been always just do what works. So I'm not attached really to one way or the other way. And if it works to say, you know, this was my father's responsibility, not mine, I turn my back and walk away, that can be extremely helpful. But the other approach, you know, for one person, for another person, it may be to say, well, you know, I have a heavy, my father's behavior has really triggered me, and I'm not going to be like that. But then to say, well, actually, I am that. And then to see what happens when you say, well, I am that. And then you go into, you know, in the reclamation work, we go into the polarity as well. We kind of are doing, when we go into the polarity, we're kind of doing both at the same time.
Yes,
if that
I
makes
think
sense.
the result, and very interesting, is the same. But if I say I give it back to my father and I really heal this relationship, then I have the understanding that I'm quite this too, but I'm just be more and not just return the back to it, and that's it. But I think we're running out of time.
Nadia, what do you want to?
So thank you very much already.
Nadia has something to add, I'm sure. Yeah.
Being the harsh mistress here. No, you know, actually, I never heard you talk about it in quite this way, Peter. So that was fascinating, and maybe just my 2 cents worth. I do also agree that both paths lead to Rome, so to speak. But there is something about the acknowledgement of this is me too that I find not just a humbling, but a connecting experience, right? So there is something that inherently connects me to everybody else the moment I can say, and I see this in me too, rather than starting with, and I don't, you know, this is yours, I'm handing it back to you. Even though we may actually end at the same point, I find there's something deeply humanistic about the reclamation of my, you know, humanity that is imperfect, and to find myself in you in that way immediately creates a bridge. So what I see very often in ConsciousU Money, for example, when we do the money work, is that people heal their relationship with their family, even though that wasn't really the reason why they came, but it just sort of happens, right? Yeah, but I loved how you explained, Peter, the different entry points and how it all leads, you know, and whatever works, right? So who heals is right. So thank you, Tobias, for your question. That was a great question.
Yeah.
Thank you both for offering the space. Awesome.
Okay, so Peter, we are at the very end, and for everybody who is still here, I'm going to put a few links into the chat to follow up. So firstly, if you want to do Peter's money work, sign up for ConsciousU Money. Registration deadline for the English group is actually, I think, today. So, you know, it's for people who are fast. The German group starts in a month. And if you want to know about ConsciousU Source, because together with Tom Nixon, we've been laboring away for a number of months now, if not years, to create the ConsciousU Source program, and that's nearly ready. Sign up for our newsletter, then you will be on the list of people who know about this first. And of course, you can join the Conscious Tribes community that a few people mentioned. It's free. You have access to a lot of stuff connected to Peter's body of work, including the recordings of all the previous AMA. So if you want to catch up on, in case you have free time, like, whatever, there's plenty you can do. So I will link the two of us, Peter, me and you, and then turn to a gallery view. And I'm just going to call on a couple of people to hear what is your takeaway from today. Peter, the other Peter, Horst, I saw that your hand was up early, and I'm sorry you didn't get your spot today.
Well, let me give you my feedback, which I always find very astounding in these type of groups, is thank you, Mark. Was it Mark for asking the question? No, it wasn't Mark, it was Tobias. Thank you, Tobias, for asking a question. And I don't know whether you got your answer, but I certainly got my answer to the question I was going to ask. So thank you very much for that.
Magical space. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. And let's see. Who else feels like they want to put something in the space just as a goodbye before I go ibid up? Wolfgang, we haven't seen you in a while.
Sorry, I arrived a little bit late today, but I was, it was amazing. And one thing that stays with me is this very short but to the point response to don't remember his name, who was walking and then had to leave, about that it was this one person that mattered. The only thing that mattered in this conundrum or this situation was the role of this one person who was the supporter. And it makes me also question something in my own story as well. So that was a great gift, along with all the others. Thank you.
And maybe one woman to conclude for today. Patricia, any takeaways from you? Or Miriam, you're also free.
Yes. Can I speak? Yes.
Yeah, you speak, and then Patricia. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Well, this was my first time for this session. I'm very happy. Thank you, everyone. I just joined the community, and actually, I was in the breakup session with Muna, which was very funny in a way, because I'm French Moroccan, French native, but my parents are both Moroccan, and so it was very. I was sort of emotional. So I was in the session after, but I could see Muna, who looks somehow like my mom. And I have this thing with my mom going on at the moment with Morocco and with anyway, a bit of a mess and emotions. And we just been sent together and we started speaking English. And I was like, wait a minute. So you're French Moroccan. So let's speak French. Okay, we'll speak Moroccan. So I'm just happy that I have the opportunity to be in the same room as her. And yes, I believe that we would share more together. So thank you for this amazing opportunity.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that beautiful story. Patricia, last words.
Every time I have my takeaways, even if I only listen, and I can say it's the greatest piecework I know.
Yeah. Thank you, Peter. That about hits the right spot, right?
It hits a wonderful spot, particularly with what's going on in the world right now. Thank you, and thank you for all of you attending, and so nice to see some faces I haven't seen for some time. Some of you, wonderful to see you all here.
Okay, so unmute yourself so we can yell some goodbyes to each other and find somebody in the title.
What about Murad's song? Where do we get that?
Can we? Yeah.
I'm working on, this is a song I just prototyped recently, so I haven't distributed it to the platform, but I think in a few days it will be available on all the music streaming platforms, and I'll send a link to Peter and Nadjeschda, and then they can send it to the group. So be patient a few more days, please.
Amazing.
Thank you. Thank you
Good evening.
very much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.